because this summer, honey, the girls are outside. Our locks need to be, okay, locked and laid, and I'm here to help.
You want a supermodel pose like my real friend Wynne?
Hey loves, welcome to my channel. My name is Wynne if you're new here, and if you're returning, then hey girl, how you doing? Today I'm going to show you how I got these really natural sun-kissed looking jumbo locks using the new Shake and Go 3x Pre-Fluffed Poppin Twist hair in 20 inches. I got these long locks with only about 5 packs of hair, which is great because each pack comes with like 3 packs in it, so you don't have to buy as much hair. It's really affordable, especially if you're going to do the style yourself at home. All of my girls who end up trying this style, y'all better send it to me because I want to see, please. I love seeing you guys recreations of hairstyles that I create, even when it's a little different. I love when you guys take what I teach you and create something of your own, and I just love seeing it. So if you do end up recreating the style, make sure that you tag me on Instagram or send it to me in my DMs if you're not like somebody who's comfortable with that. Today's video is sponsored by Shake and Go, but of course, as usual, all of the opinions are my own. I only work with brands that I really like, and y'all know I got opinions, honey. This hair is absolutely gorgeous. As you can see, it has so much texture. I love the fact that it has a lot of curl to it. The curls are really defined, but it also has enough texture to hold on to itself so that we didn't have to use any glue. We didn't have to do any crazy knots. We didn't have to use a lighter. This tutorial is very beginner friendly, and if you want to try and do like some hand wrap locks yourself, I really suggest you try this hair out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video so I can show you exactly how I got this style. Because this summer, honey, the girls are outside. Our locks need to be, okay, locked and laid, and I'm here to help. Let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. Okay, so let's get into it. I saved 3 different locks for us to do together, so I can show you the different ways that I actually like went about getting the ombre. So returning subscribers already know I keep my hair in like these little individual braids so I can switch my locks out and throw wigs on. I like to be able to switch my hair, period. So I keep my hair like in these individual braids. So my hair is already braided up and it's also pre-sectioned. So in order to catch you up, I've already pre-sectioned my hair and braided it. Nothing fancy, and it's also not very tight. These are not like fresh knotless braids. I like them to be a little bit worn. That way, it keeps sticking out. That way I don't have to worry about putting too much tension on my scalp, because the girls want healthy hair, you know, we don't have time for that. Let me undo this little updo that I had going on to kind of disguise the fact that my hair was not finished, child. Okay, so we looking crazy, but baby, it's gonna come together. So this hair comes kind of pre-sectioned. As you can see, it's like gorgeous. It's the perfect hair for faux locks. I would say it's an afro kinky texture, but it actually has a lot more curl than the other afro kinky textures that I've tried. I've tried literally every hair possible for faux locks, and I really like this. I like that it has a defined curl, but it also has enough texture to give you like a really good hold on your locks. So I'm taking 1 full strip. As you can see, it's pretty long, and we're gonna use this as the base for our locks, because as you can see, she got a little meat on her bones. She a little thick. So I use a full piece to get this thickness for my locks. And I'm just crocheting through the root, as you can see, grabbing the hair and pulling it through. I leave about 6 inches on the shorter side, and then I'm gonna break this section in half and use one of the sections to then start to wrap. And this isn't for coverage, it's literally just to make sure that your hair is secure. And this is really important to me because when I take my hair down, I don't want my braid to be just wandering around. That's how your hair starts sticking out your locks and stuff. It's not cute. So I just give my base just a little wrap, and that way it keeps everything just a little bit more tidy. And I don't have to worry about like cutting my hair, taking it down or anything like that. Like I know my hair is secure and on the inside of these locks, it's not going nowhere. So with another section, this is 1 full piece. Like I said, they come sectioned out, which is really helpful because you don't have to worry about like creating your own sections or having some of them be thicker than the others. Of course it'll happen naturally, but you don't want it to be like noticeable. So I find that having the hair pre-sectioned is super helpful. And I just split that 1 section in half. It's super easy. And now I have these 2 sections. In the front, I kind of have the ombre going on a gradient. So let me back up so y'all can see. The lighter color starts at the end of this one, kind of halfway through this one, and then I just have dark roots, and this one is mostly light. So it's giving like that balayage, super highlighted, like kind of like front streak look. I hope that makes sense. That's the vibe we're going for. And then with the hair being 1B and 1B30, it really gives that sun-kissed, like I've had my locks for a long time, not very like intentional color. So I'm taking one of those strands that we just split in half, again with 6 inches on one side and then the longer length on the other, and I'm laying it right next to the lock. And then I'm grabbing the shorter piece and I'm wrapping it around just like we did earlier. And that's just for a little stability. Now, as you see, it's not going anywhere. So with the longer side, I'm just gonna wrap it kind of tightly around my roots, just because my braids are kind of old and I want them to look really fresh. If you want, you can apply some edge control, but I'm not too worried about it. On this side, I may do it to these sections though. So once you have that wrapped tightly around the root, then I'm just kind of spreading it out as you see and laying it over the braid. Nothing too crazy, like you don't want it to be super perfect. I actually prefer for it to be really like messy and loosey-goosey. So I'm just wrapping really quickly, get into it. And as you can see, it's not perfect. It does not have to be perfect. Nobody's looking that hard. And then with the next piece, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. So I have about 6 inches on this side. I'm gonna lay the shorter end with the long hair that we crocheted in. This is the piece of wrapping hair that I have left. I'm gonna blend that with the longer strand and then wrap it twice. Then I'm grabbing that smaller piece we were wrapping earlier and putting it with the hair in the inside, which we're just holding still as we wrap this side. And then with this side, I'm actually gonna wrap a little bit above where we connected the hair, just because it tends to be a little bit thinner there because the hair was running out. And once I feel like I have it nice and secure, I'm gonna begin to then wrap down with this new piece. So we're about where I added the blonde hair, the 1B30 hair on the other side. And I really want them to be as even as possible in the front. In the back, honestly, I don't care. So now I'm grabbing one section of the 1B30 hair and I'm just gonna split it in half. So now I have 2 sections. And when I add in the 1B30 hair, no matter how long it is, I like to only start from where the actual 1B30 is. So as you can see, it's 30 on the bottom and then 1B30 in the middle. I just lay the portion that's all 30 here so that it provides more of a gradient. I don't want it to be like black 30, 1B30, 30. I want it to be black, 1B30, then 30. I hope that makes sense. So I'm just blending that in the same way. And once I've wrapped it a couple of times, I'm then putting the black hair that we were using before down, wrapping a bit above where we started it, and then continuing to wrap down. And if you need to, it's really hard to like wrap all low. So I just, it's kind of gross, but I just grab it in my mouth and then continue to wrap, so. So I'm grabbing the lock on the opposite side and I'm just length checking to see where it is. And because we're running out of wrapping hair, I'm gonna go ahead and add some more. So I'm grabbing that other half of hair and then I'm gonna do the exact same thing until we get it the same length as the other side. All right, let's check the length again. Still a little bit short, maybe about 1 inch or so. Okay, so now that they're about even, this is the side that I've been wrapping and this is the end that we've been wrapping around. I'm actually going to grab the end we've been wrapping around and begin to wrap it going back up. So as you can see, I'm just wrapping it going back up. It really does not matter how. The hair kind of just blends together after a while. And then with the portion that we were wrapping with, I'm doing the exact same thing, just grabbing it and then wrapping it back up. Why am I so ratchet? Yeah, this is the first lock. So this is how I did literally all of the locks in the back. So most of the locks that I've done already look exactly like these. The next two are the only two that are different, and I just wanted to add a little bit of flair in the front. So let's start to work on those. Okay, so I pulled the rest of the hair up, and now we just have these two out. And the beginning process is low-key the exact same. Taking one full section of the black hair, crocheting it through the roots, splitting the shorter end in half, giving it a super light wrap. Then I'm taking one more full section of the black hair and I'm gonna just split it in half. I don't like to wrap with full sections. If I was going for a super jumbo look, I would wrap with a full section, but because I'm going for more of like a medium to large, I split these in half before I wrap. But feel free to play with it. If you wanna go super large, just make sure that your parts are corresponding. So if you go really, really large with the locks, you wanna do less locks. And then if you wanna go smaller, maybe go for a sister lock look, you wanna have really small parts. That way the density matches the thickness of the locks. That's all, but feel free to play with it and make it your own, especially if you're doing it yourself, because you can play with it. If you don't like it, change it, fix it, okay? So I'm gonna lay the shorter end about 4 inches next to the hair and twist it. Even though I use old braids, I like to add a bit of edge control to the base around the edges when I first do it, and it just gives you like that fresh lock look. Even though these braids are literally like 2 months old. Does anybody else's hair grow better when it's dirty? I know people talk about it all the time, but I'm definitely one of those girls. So now that I have the roots nice and smooth, I'm gonna take this longer end and wrap it around the base twice to get a little bit of grip. Now I'm just spreading the hair out, and I'm gonna wrap by just laying it over really lightly. Okay, then as you can see, this is about where I added the 1B30 on the other side. I actually may go a little bit lower. Then I'm grabbing a piece of the 1B30. I'm just gonna split this in half. So as you see, this is one piece. I'm splitting it in half and just pulling it apart. It's super easy. I really like this hair for that exact reason. Like, it's really easy to work with, to be honest. They've pre-fluffed it out, they've pre-sectioned it. Like, ma'am, that's saving you at least 30-45 minutes. And then the same thing, I'm being really cautious to only begin wrapping where you see the 1B30, not the brighter end. And that just allows for your ombre to look a little bit more natural. So I'm laying that lighter edge. I'm laying the lighter part next to the area I've been wrapping over. Wrapping twice with the pieces together. Removing the darker piece, wrapping a bit above where I've attached the hair just to blend it all together. And then we're gonna continue to wrap the rest of the way down. And then when it starts to get a little bit shorter, grabbing the other half. Once again, laying 6 inches with the inside hair that we've been wrapping around. Have the outside piece that we've been wrapping. Wrap twice. Put this hair on the inside. Wrap a little bit above it to blend it in. Then continuing to wrap down the length of the hair. So when I get close to the bottom, and I'm really close to the bottom, but I still need more hair, I tend to use a third instead of a half of a section, just so that the bottom doesn't look too thick. I kind of want it to taper out a bit. And we're gonna finish up the lock the same way. So grabbing the hair from the inside, and I'm gonna wrap that going up. And as you can tell, I'm literally just wrapping the hair as tight as I can. As you see, I have this one little piece of hair I'm still wrapping. And doing that makes it to where you don't need to use like a lighter or glue or anything like that. The hair really just wraps onto itself as if it was your natural hair. The hair just attaches to itself, okay? So that's those two. And now for the last lock, that's really just dark roots and then all light. So I'm grabbing a little bit of edge control. I like the Edge Booster in pineapple scent. It smells so good. And I'm gonna just apply a little bit of this to the base of my braid. Again, just to give it a bit more smooth of a look because these braids are crusty. Come on, waves. And then I'm going to grab one full section of the 1B hair and we're gonna just crochet this. The root, you know the deal, you know the vibes. And with the shortest section again, we're gonna just split it in half. Then wrap. I've split one of the 1B sections in half already, so it's not as thick. It's one of the half pieces we've been using to wrap, but I'm also gonna cut this in half lengthwise. Then with the trimmed side of it, that's a little bit more blunt, I'm gonna lay it next to the hair, begin to wrap. Wrap twice with the longer side around the base, and then begin to loosen up and wrap the hair like the other locks until I get to about here. Now I'm gonna take one full section of the 1B30 hair and split it in half, and then attach this to the lock so that I can begin wrapping with this color. Wrapping twice, putting the older piece in the middle to wrap around, wrapping a bit above, then continuing to wrap down. Then once I see it starting to get really light, I'm gonna grab the other half, then I'm gonna add this piece and continue to wrap. So I'm grabbing one more full piece, breaking it in half, and then continuing the process. Let's check the length. Got a little bit ways to go. Okay. And this is what it looks like, the finished product. As you see, we have our really cute highlights in the front, a nice little gradient on the sides, and then the bottoms look really light. And as you see, it looks natural, like the way it blends. It's not too perfect, but it makes sense. It's giving bristle. And they're super lightweight. As you can see, they move. Nice and bouncy. All right. So this is the finished look. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this video. Like this video if you like this video. Send it to your homegirl because you know she needs some help. No shade. And I'll see you guys in my next one. I love you guys so much. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. We did something a little bit different with the color. And I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, babes. Mwah.